We start this hour with the latest in the G7 summit and the new information this morning that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is expected to attend in person.
Yeah, this morning he landed in Saudi Arabia. The meeting there should happen before he heads to Japan, and his trip will continue on to Hiroshima. More countries announced tougher sanctions against Russia as a way to try to stop its invasion of Ukraine. At the same time, looming in the background of these talks, of course, is the prospect of a possible U.S. debt default and the massive effects it could have, not just here in the U.S., but on the global economy. NBC News White House correspondent Mike Memoli joins us now from the meeting site in Japan with more on this. Mike, good morning to you. We do want to start with those new developments we just mentioned. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy will attend the G7 in person. He's in Saudi Arabia this morning. What more do we know about that?
Yes, Stephen, Ukraine was always going to be at the top of the agenda for this three-day G7 summit here in Hiroshima. And the Japanese prime minister had indicated yesterday that President Zelenskyy was likely to participate in some fashion in the summit on Sunday. Well, now a Western official is confirming that President Zelenskyy is now expected to travel to this summit in person to meet with the G7 leaders on Sunday. Now, of course, the details of his travel are not being disclosed to protect his security. And given the length of that travel and the security concerns, it is possible that those plans could change. But this would be an important show of force, an opportunity for Zelenskyy to speak with the G7 leaders as a group in person at a critical moment. He's been ramping up the diplomatic offensive of late. Just in the past week, he's traveled to the United Kingdom, to France, to Germany, to Italy. He even met with Pope Francis ahead of a planned spring offensive by Ukraine. This is a critical moment for the Ukraine conflict, and one that Zelenskyy is now pressing leaders in person to provide even more support for.
And Mike, we're now nearly a year and a half into Russia's war on Ukraine. Of course, as you mentioned, Ukraine dominating the G7. What do we know about these new sanctions that have been announced against Russia?
Yeah, these sanctions, I think, fall into two broad categories. And the first, you have efforts to really tighten the screws, to increase enforcement of existing sanctions. There has been certainly a number of attempts by Russian officials to evade the sanctions that have been piling up from the West over the course of the last year. But then there's a second category of sanction, which is to target those remaining sources of revenue for Russia's war effort. If you believe it, this includes the selling of diamonds. We've seen increasing pressure, including what was announced at the G7 summit last year, which is that oil price cap that brings in significant revenue for the Russian government. But this is a further escalation in the West's efforts to tighten those screws, as I said, on Russia. President Biden recently said that one of the things he's proudest of during his time in office so far is the ability he's been able to show to keep our allies in lockstep in support of Ukraine. So now this is another collective step by the G7, and each of these individual countries may go even further with their own sanctions.
And Mike, speaking of President Biden, we can't ignore the pressing domestic news, the negotiations over raising the debt ceiling as that timeline continues to tick down. But this could also have effects on the global stage. Are we expecting to hear more on that?
Yeah, certainly President Biden in the sidelines of this summit, probably hearing an earful from his global counterparts about the situation back home. And as the president has been taking part in G7 activities today, he's also been getting updates from his staff back home. We've seen those negotiations on Capitol Hill on Thursday. Well, President Biden did have a briefing with some of his staff as he started his day earlier on Friday. And just in the last hour, we learned that President Biden has left a dinner of the G7 leaders early so that he can get an update again from his staff. You understand the time zone challenges here. President Biden, at the end of his day, aides at the start of their day. He'll get the latest information as he's kicking off, ending his first day here.
All right, and more to come on that. Mike Memoli, thanks so much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.